Hi everyone, Karen Roby and Veronica Combs here for Tech Republic, talking about the Decade in Review look at the most influential languages. So Veronica, you put this list together here for us. Who tops the list, most importantly?
Well, all decade long, it was Java, JavaScript, SQL, C# or C++.
Okay.
So I looked at search queries. There's an organization that looks at search queries. What kind of languages are people looking for? Stack Overflow also asked developers, what are you working with? And then I also worked with Carrot, which is a company that does technical interviews. So when you're a developer, they say, here's a problem, you solve it. And then they have to figure out what language to use. And so they looked at the languages that people are most often likely to use during those tests. So again, all decade, Java and JavaScript were sort of the two most popular languages. I also talked to a lot of developers, and they said that they've been very influential languages, and they'll be around indefinitely.
And they're going to keep hanging on.
They'll be with us, yes.
Anything surprising when looking back over 10 years?
One thing that several people mentioned, several developers, was Ruby on Rails. And so apparently it had this big spike in the middle of the decade. Lots of people were using it, and then it just kind of faded away.
Yeah.
But it did have some lasting influence in terms of libraries and resources. It was, I guess it was one of the first times that one developer built something that another developer could use. And that sort of set a good example for the rest of the decade and sort of a trend for languages in general.
Okay, and what about, one of the things you've been talking about is Python. Of course, we talk about Python, write about it here a lot on Tech Republic. What did you find with that one?
So Python was popular in like 2010 at the start of the decade, and then it kind of faded away. But then over the last year and a half or so, it's really become popular again.
Right.
And I've heard a lot of researchers, like scientific researchers, talk about Python. And so I asked some of my sources about that, and they said that it's really good for data analysis. So we hear so much about machine learning and AI and all this stuff. And so Python, again, has a lot of libraries built in it, ready to use. One developer said, instead of having to work through steps 1 through 10, you could you could find a library and start at step 11. So it saves time, more efficient, things like that. So several people said Python was going to continue its popularity in part because we're managing and analyzing so much data.
Yeah, so that will be one of those that's really strong heading into the 20s.
Yes.
All right, well, for that full list and much more on Veronica's article, make sure you check that out on Tech Republic.